Hello, Rebecca Wiley here from Conscious Infinity, here to talk about, once again, cryptocurrency and spirituality. I'm going to recap what we have went over so far, um, basically beginning with how important it is to be in touch with your spiritual self when you're trying to be successful with anything in your life, and that includes finances, health, family, relationships, whatever you're doing, very important. We had talked about blocks with prosperity and abundance. People have subconscious blocks, even ancestral blocks within your DNA and your genetics, fears, programs, belief systems, even religious belief systems that may be preventing you from making money. So we went over that in one of the videos. Relationships. So relationships can't be segregated, meaning you can't think, well, I have a good career, but a bad relationship with my family, or I'm extremely ill. So when I channel the frequencies, and I believe it's definitely starseed frequencies that I'm channeling. A lot of it are the Octurians. What they're saying to me very clear is we are going to give, and we meaning we're in touch with a higher frequency now in the collective consciousness. So as we ascend and we break through barriers, we engage in higher frequencies. Those frequencies to me feel like angelic beings, or just really getting in touch with that one source. Some people refer to the one source as God, universal energy, whatever. But we're at a place where the more in balance you are, the more centered you are, the law of attraction is going to really provide, meaning you're going to be providing for yourself by just allowing yourself to be balanced. So, relationships, you want to have healthy relationships in all of your life, and especially with yourself. The first relationship begins with yourself. When you, and I did have a video and meditation on this as well, when you are aligned inwardly with your divine masculine as well as your divine feminine, meaning that you can give and receive equally, plus you know how to be creative and flexible but yet motivated. So there's a nice balance that you must have internally. You know what protection feels like and safety feels like. When you have that stuff balanced within yourself, then you're accessing a 0 point field within the heart space, which is where I think your soul or the core of your consciousness is located. When you're in balance, you have like a vacuum, and whatever you think about, whatever frequency you put in that vacuum or that center, that is what you will attract back in your life. So when you have that balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, then you're going to attract healthy relationships in your life. You're going to attract prosperity and abundance in your life. You're going to attract health. Your health is extremely important as well. So what message I'm given now is actually, it's two separate messages. In one message is, and I think I mentioned this earlier, is Spirit wants you to do what your purpose is. Deepak Chopra told his children, he has 3 kids, and he said, I want you to do what you love in your life. And if you do what you love in your life, without engaging in low frequency behaviors, and they utilize their purpose and their passion, he said, if you don't make money, I'll give you money. I just want you to be happy. Well, all 3 of his children are very successful and do not need his money. So I thought that was really cool because they didn't have the blocks and fears and the programs around not making money and not being able to survive. And they were given permission to get into their creativity and their passion. And really, that's what Spirit wants. Spirit wants you to be able to have fun and really get in touch with who you are. What I like also is I very much appreciate you guys' comments below. I do read them, and I don't I don't respond because to a lot of them because my training and confidentiality, etc. But I do respond when it's appropriate. But some of the the things that people are saying, one person had actually said, if they had all the money in the world, because that's a good question. If you had all the money in the world, what would you still do? You have to have a purpose. And that could be fear in itself. Is my goal in life is to strive to make money and to suffer until I die, and that's how I'm going to define my purpose. It's very interesting because my husband, when I met him, he was a psychiatrist, and I actually met him because I was interviewing him for my practice. I don't typically do that, but I had just done a manifestation to manifest my twin flame, and I went to interview him. And it was a very professional interview. It was a traditional Western medicine practice, so there was no spirituality in it. Within 10 minutes of the interview, he said, "You manifested me here," which I about fell out of my chair because totally unexpected. And I kept it very professional. But months and months later, we ended up dating, getting together, and the rest is history. But the one thing is he's Egyptian, and they are very strict on their children. I mean, basically, you're a doctor or you're an engineer, or else you're, you know, some of their parents aren't very nice. They're going to be done with them. So he decided he didn't want to be a doctor. He never had wanted to be a doctor. His dad was a pediatrician, and so he didn't really have any choices of his own. At least he felt he didn't. So when he met me, he decided not to practice anymore. Well, his parents disowned him, but besides that, at first he did not know what to do with himself. I mean, literally walking around in circles, lost, loss of interest, not knowing what to do, probably even some depression because, what is it? What does he want to do? So that was a process. And that's what I encourage you guys to think about, because in order to manifest a reality where there is a ton of money to the point where you don't have any worries, then what are you going to do with your life? 30% of manifestation is focus in being able to verbalize or write that down. What will you do with your life with an unlimited amount of money? You need to be able to verbalize that and write it down. That's 30% of manifestation. The other 70% is getting relaxed, visualizing it, feeling it, being in the experience as though it's already happened. So some of the comments were really neat. A lot of people were saying that they would want to, a couple people had said they want to raise their families. They want to participate in their children's lives. I thought that was really cool. One person had even said they want to do music therapy, which is, to me, it was sound alchemy, which sound alchemy is a very new and upcoming thing to help other people. So, just if you haven't done it, write that down. There's going to be a big shift. And somebody had asked me, and I decided to go ahead and put this on the video. What would I do if I had so much money I didn't have to worry about anything? Well, what you do is you build on your creativity and your passions and what you choose to do. And one thing I'm very passionate about, and I have been blessed to be able to do this in my career, is treating trauma victims. And I'm talking about people who can't sleep at night, throwing up stomach acid, war veterans, extreme abuse. I've that's been in my background. I know how to do that, but I know how to do that in a way that's different than most traditional doctors. And what I've done is I've researched a lot of stuff, and I've been to a lot of ayahuasca and psilocybin ceremonies, for self development as well as helping my clients. And I've been to Peru and I've also done them in the States. But what I noticed is when I would do these ceremonies with groups, there would be a lot of people sitting around suffering. And when I was under the influence of ayahuasca or psilocybin, I was really able to get into their experience more than I chose to at the time. It was like I could see through their eyes, I could feel what they were feeling, so I had to be very careful when I was around them, But I noticed that there was a lot of suffering going on, and the shamans were very good, but there was no like really one-on-one work. So I was sitting next to a girl because we were eating fruit afterwards, and she started talking about her experience in the ceremony, and I was in her experience. Like I could see through this girl's eyes, and I said something to her. I was explaining it to her, and she said, "Oh my gosh, no one has understood the way that I felt. No one has understood me the way you just did." And I said, "Yeah, it's because it's like I am you." And I said, "But I don't want you to talk about it anymore because it's really intense." And I was able to do a programming on her, an energetic programming on her, to really help with whatever she was going through at the time. So what I decided is this needs to be done in therapy. It needs to be done. So we partnered with a sanctuary to be able to get the natural plant medicines. And since then, very blessed with being able to help people in severe trauma, major addictions. You know, it's been awesome. But not only that, also manifesting because I have a background of clinical psychology, understanding trauma, addiction, depression, grief, anxiety, and also medical issues as well. And then I have a background, well, not a background, an innate ability to do energy work and all of the psychic work. So, in these ceremonies, we work on both spectrums. We are helping people with traumas, and by the end of the night, we're manifesting in different realms of existence and bringing their angels to them. And some people have gotten psychic surgery, so it's a blessing and it's a blast. So, I where I'm going with this is, I am a professional, and we do work one on one with people because the group experiences you can get anywhere. This one on one experience is very rare. So, there's a cost to it because, you're staying in a comfortable place with your own room, your own bed, in a nice area, food provided, and then you're getting like one on one services. So, you know, I've helped a lot of people, but there's people that can't afford the services. And I do tithe, but I can't tithe all of the ceremonies. So, I'll have more flexibility to lower the prices to help more people. And with that being said, people tend to, the subconscious mind believes that if you give something is when you receive something. So, I may charge them something, just so they'll accept the healing, because that's been a big experiment in NLP, is people who pay actually tend to receive healings better. So, and then take the money and put it in some sort of donation. And I have a particular thing in mind to do with the donations. There was a guy who very generously went into my PayPal from cryptocurrency land and gave me a donation. And I just want to tell him thank you, because I know exactly what I'm going to do with it. I have a beautiful, gorgeous, talented wolf dog, and he's amazing. He's awesome, but he is also very psychic and intuitive as well. These wolf dogs can have a human-like quality about them. And he's participated in my ceremonies, and the people love him. Just the energy work that the wolf dogs can do, and I'm sure any dog, but it's quite amazing the way he's worked with my clients. But to raise my wolf dog, because this is where people make mistakes. They think, well, it's really cool to get a wolf dog. I'm gonna get a wolf dog, and they can't take care of them. And these wolf dogs, for the first year, I had to have a dog sitter when I was working because you cannot leave them unattended. You cannot cage them. They need to be taught. They need to be loved. They need to be nurtured. So a lot of these wolf dogs are suffering. People are getting them and giving them to shelters. Some of them have threats of being put down, put to sleep. Well, I know the therapeutic qualities behind a wolf dog. So what I'm going to do is open up a wolf rescue. But the wolf rescue, I plan on moving into an area where there's a lot of land, and building a home and having the wolf rescue there. But the wolf rescue will be a part of my healing as well because, it's been documented and research has been done on it with how war veterans react to these wolf dogs, the bond they make, especially if the dogs are trained, and the healing properties behind that are magnificent because, they can be trusted. So, I plan to do that. I plan to help these wolf dogs, and there's so much more. When I went to Peru and I was in the Amazon, me being raised in a small town with 28,000 people as a population, so naive. I was driving through Peru on my way to the ayahuasca ceremonies, and there was these little kids. They looked about honestly, 5, 6, 7 years old. Walking to the water, getting big buckets, putting the buckets on their head, and walking the water up to what I assume was their families. And then I was later told, no, Rebecca, these are kids that are orphans that are working for food. So these families are helping these kids, but the kids are put to work. They're sent down there to get the water, And I was like, oh wow. So that's definitely one of my goals is to help those children, and as well as my own daughter. She's 10 months old right now, and I'm definitely homeschooling her. I'm going to definitely put her through some sort of magic school and teach her to live without any blocks or fears or programs against being who she wants to be. So, really developing her gifts. So there's a lot to do there, and I'm so glad that you guys were here when I just put that out to the universe. But anyways, so the message I want to talk about right now, and I'm going to do a meditation on it in a different video. I've noticed that some people like to listen to my videos but don't like to listen to my meditation, so that way you can have a choice. But this is on compassion. This is huge. I truly did not know what compassion was until I did the meditation exercise on it. And the universe is saying it's a time right now not just to give compassion, but to receive it. To receive compassion about everything that you've went through, you're going to go through, the collective consciousness experiences, everything. And when I did the exercise myself, it's like combining the shadow self with your light self. That you have that little devil on your shoulder and then the angel. Okay, so the devil is what they would call your shadow self, the angelic self, or that would be like your your where you're working in the light. And what most people do is they ignore the shadow self. They think that this is bad, I'm bad. So they overcompensate and they try to hide that shadow self. And they can't be authentic. They can't be who they are. The real balance comes in when the angel and the devil, hug and talk and come to a compromise, and they realize that each of them has something to offer, and let's combine them in the highest and best way possible to be this balanced powerhouse that we are. In order to do that, you need to give and receive compassion, and that's compassion for anything and everything that you think you are, or you think you've done. And I will go over that in a video within the next couple days. So be on the lookout for that. But if you want to get a head start, basically you just bring up things like, you know, if you feel like you've parented wrong, or you were a bad employee, or you were a bad boss, or you stole this, or you did this wrong, and you lied about this. So bring up everything that makes you feel guilty, or everything that is in your closet, all the skeletons in your closet that you don't think you can expose. Bring it up into the heart chakra, and then close your eyes and take a deep breath, and then ask Source, Universe, or God, whatever you choose to say, give me compassion. You know, I'm sorry, or however you want to verbalize it, and feel the compassion come in, and feel that transcend, feel the love for you, even though you have that shadow side. And then you bring that side of you in that we had talked about in the other videos, the side of you where you wouldn't give up for all the money in the world, things that you stand for, that you love, that make you unique. Mixing those two together with compassion. I'm telling you, when you can do that, your whole life will change. So that's going to be, like I said, I'm going to do that meditation within the next video. And also, I wanted to go over a technique to be able to use your own abilities to see if cryptocurrency, see what coins will work for you, what won't work for you. This has been, because I'm usually very, very psychic. If you're talking to me about someone you love, or your sister, your brother, your mother, I can get into their energy and describe their energy for you, tell you what's going on around them, what we can do to change it. Lots of my clients call me about relationships. It's easy for me to tap into those relationships and, describe the personality. What is that person going to do next? What's blocking the person? Is there something about you that you can change to bring that person closer? So, that's what I do for my career, and I'm very good at it. So I was like, well, why not do that with the cryptocurrencies? Well, it's hard for someone to do something if you're psychic for yourself. And that's because of that big word, ego, your ego. And when the ego gets in the way, it blocks you. So you have to make a very conscious effort to get your ego out of the way. And that's why I had been reluctant to do it, because I'm so invested into cryptocurrencies. I didn't want to have my own stuff in the way. So I worked on it. And what I decided is each cryptocurrency has its own consciousness, its own being. It's become an entity, right? So reading the cryptocurrency as though I would read a person. And so what I've done is I've taken a couple of them that I'm not invested in, and it's not like I'm telling you to invest in these. If you want me to read some of them for you, I can, but I'm just giving you examples. One that came to me is Verge, for instance. I'm not invested in it. I just decided to pick that one. So what I did is I connected and I asked, okay, show me Verge. And you can come up with any construct you want. And I decided to come up with like an ocean, okay? And I asked the general question, like, okay, I want to see the movement of Verge as I'm looking at the ocean. So I noticed what I saw with Verge is a very, you're probably thinking, this is common sense, but I can explain it to you more, but it was very strong at times, and then very still, and then very strong at times, and very still. And then I connect and I ask, okay, so I asked Spirit, give me an archetype of what Verge is. And I got the Queen of Diamonds, and went into the Queen of Diamonds, reading that. And what I picked up is Verge has a strong personality to it. But with that strong personality, it's almost like a bipolar personality, like the ups and downs. Like when Verge is going strong, it goes strong, but then it almost gets in depressed states. And what that tells me is is there's not people or the developers, and I don't know anything really about what's going on with Verge, but um, there's times when there's slack going on within the coin, unpredictability of the developers or something. I'm not sure, but there's just an up and down type of pattern. Um, so if that were me, I would invest during the ups and pull out during the downs. But that's not a long term stable coin where I would just leave my money in there and walk away. And then I asked, okay, what's the long term hold on Verge going to be? And what I saw was, this was interesting because I saw Verge fighting. Like this Queen of Diamonds was fighting, and had a quite when it has a what I saw was the following when they had some strong followers for this. So the followers are going to keep this coin going to an extent, but then what I saw was like this very stable energy, big foundation. It was competition to Verge that would eventually take that over. Doesn't mean that Verge is going to go not going to succeed at all. I just feel that there's going to be something bigger, better, with a lot more consistent developers behind it. That Verge is going to come up against that's going to overcome or be bigger than Verge. I asked what that was going to be. The first thing that came to my mind was Dash. I don't know. So that was my thing on Verge. And then I decided to read Didja Bite. And the only reason I'm doing it, and I'm going to be honest with you, is because other psychics are saying about Didja Bite, and people are really, really big about Didja Bite. So I wanted to see what I got on it, moving my ego out of the way. I connected to Didja Bite, and what I got was really cool. I feel as though Didja Bite, in the way I can describe it, is like these developers are quietly creating something massive, but I feel like they're diligently working, and I almost feel like there's a secret behind it. Like the reason they're not advertising is because they don't want to. They don't want to advertise. They don't want their community to ruin their reputation before they're even done with the product. They want a fair chance. They want to be judged based on their product, not based on deadlines, etc. So they are choosing not to come out right now. That's what I was being told. But when they come out, I see it as like vines going in the earth, like wrapping around everything, like going through stuff, becoming part of stuff, almost like kind of like spider webs. So I feel like it's like Didja Bite's going to hold up a lot. It's going to be the supporter of a lot of other coins, a lot of other creations. It's going to make friends with a lot of other currencies or companies or whatever. So I do feel that Didja Bite is going to be a very good investment. I asked when is it going to double or go up? And I feel like it may go up some, but I still feel like end of July, beginning of August is going to be pretty big, actually, for a lot of cryptocurrencies. And then I decided to do Gollum. I'm not invested in Gollum either, so I'm not doing anything I'm invested in. So Gollum, I actually feel is a good project. What I saw was this whirlwind of energy going in a circle, and in the middle of that circle was like a like kind of like the Jetsons. Like you have like space, you have all this stuff going on in this space, which I took as cryptocurrency land or cyberspace or whatever. And Gollum was like the protector of the cyberspace. And I do know a little bit about Gollum and what their project is, so that makes sense. But they were a powerhouse for what was ever in this circle, what's ever in the cyberspace. And I'm not saying they don't have competition, but I am saying that there's enough people that are going to choose them to make that and actually a good investment. I just felt really good about it. When I asked about a price for Gollum, I got like $2.85 by like September, so that's not bad. And I did one more, and it was Nano. So I asked Creator or the angels to show me an archetype for Nano, and I connected, and I got like a whale, and the whale was swimming. It's very big, very powerful, and the whale's swimming underneath the ocean, and all the other fish are swimming, and there's sharks, and there's a whole world going on around Nano that's very successful. What I saw was it's that Nano has a purpose to it, or it does something. When there's a company or something interested in Nano, when Nano connects with their purpose and what they're doing, it's like they swallow all the other fish around them. So I see Nano taking over or being good, being successful, because I see little niches that Nano is going to be good for. Like maybe even like the gaming community, other things. But I see when they get into this niche, it's like they eat all the other little fish. So I felt like that's really good for Nano. That is all I did. If you guys want me to read any other coin, then you can just put that in the comments. But I do invite you to definitely listen to the video on compassion, because my purpose is not to read coins. I just thought it was neat to teach you guys that you can create an archetype such as the ocean and notice the waves. You can ask Creator God or your angels, give me something that this coin resembles, like I had said for Verge, the Queen of Diamonds, a whale. Ask what that means. So it's really cool to